Welcome to Black, Red, and Blue Fancast. My name is AJ, and I'm joined by Steve today. We are your dynamic duo for today. As always, this is a Fancast where we strive for a casual and social aspect to the Fancast. Imagine as if we were just sitting around at a bar, hanging out, talking about our favorite team.
Just so everyone knows, we've got our socials. We're getting them kind of lined out. And you can find us at Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called now at BRB Fancast. We are on YouTube, which is Black, Red, and Blue. And on Spotify, you can find the podcast, the audio version of the podcast, which is BRB Fancast. So go ahead and just look those up, put them on your home screen, all that jazz. And we look forward to hearing from you. But yeah, we're just two fellas that happen to like this team in this city, and we're excited about the soccer now that it's here, it's professional, and we're kind of into it. So this is why we wanted to start this. You know, I think AJ mentioned it last time that there's plenty of podcasts and discussions that like overanalyze everything. But like here, it's just like reactions. This is what we saw. We're going to try to keep these to 20, 25 minutes while you're on the washing dishes, hanging out at the car. Oh, I've already took like 2 minutes. So sorry, guys.
Oh my gosh, like this game was so much fun. Holy crap. This was amazing. Like 2 minutes in, I mean, heck, actually even 1 minute in, we had that AZ shot at the beginning. And I was like, oh my gosh, like City's going to come out pounding. I was afraid without Leuven, without Blom, without who else were we missing? Parker. I was like, oh, we were going to get crushed this game. I actually, don't hate me, but I thought this was going to be like a landslide loss, like 2-0 sort of game.
Right.
And then we came out firing right away. Unfortunately, yeah, go ahead.
I listened to, I was telling AJ, I tried to find some podcasts for the Galaxy, and those fans are super full of themselves. They were certain, with the fact that they weren't tanking already, that we were going to come in there and they were going to run us over. That Paintsill, well, I mean, he kind of did, but they were predicting like 5-0, and that was before the surprise. Parker's not here, and it was shocking to hear them people were saying that their team is different from last year because it doesn't fold in the second half, but they were unwilling to admit that City's the same thing. And I think reasonable people can say, yeah, LA is a lot better than they were last year, but we're not a ton worse. And we drew all three matches that we played so far, but it's not like we're going to get blown out. Now, I got to tell you, when AJ sent me the lineup, and I went, I didn't see a certain redheaded fellow on there, and got me a little nervous. And we'll talk about it. And there's a reason why. This Paintsill cat, Apple showed that his peak run speed was like 21.3 miles an hour. Like this kid can go. It was insane.
I think he was at least a mile an hour above the next fastest, if I recall. Yeah. Man, all game, Marconic, he just couldn't keep up. And actually on that first goal, like 2 minutes in, I don't know if you remember, like he actually fell down, and it was him that should have been marking that inside guy that ended up scoring, right?
Right. And I remember seeing someone on Reddit saying, oh, there's Marconic with that patent pending laying down defensive move. Like, and then it turned on, bite him in the ass immediately. It like, that Joe how do you say that kid's name from Galaxy? Djokovic, not Djokovic, but like Jovic, and like he scored now 4 games in a row, and made that goal look almost easy. It just sliced up the defense, just sliced it up going down.
Yeah, so I guess it's good as any time to pick on Marconic. There was that score within 2 minutes, which of course, like I was saying, like in the first minute, I was like super excited. I was like, okay, this game, we're actually going to win. And then 2 minutes in, that happened. But there was also like the 50th minute, right? When the Paintsill had that beautiful run, which Marconic was completely obliterated on, which ended up leading to that goal. And it was only like 3 minutes later that Paintsill did it again against Marconic. And that's the one where Berkey did a little cat swat to kind of hit the ball out over to the far side of the field. Ooh, What do you think about Marconic? Like when he first came to us, I was actually excited about him. I thought he was going to fill a need for us. And it just seemed like, yeah, maybe he couldn't keep up with the speed of Paintsill, but he didn't adjust in any sort of way. Like he didn't do anything. He just
Yeah.
kept getting owned over and over and over again.
Yeah, right. As you know, a layperson watching the game, just being excited about it, it did seem like Mechanic was just outclassed by Paintsill. I've got a feeling that him being so young that like he just gets caught in space, gets caught ball watching a lot of times, but he's been okay. But like just watching this Paintsill kid, like and it's almost like watching an NFL game where the offense picks on one side of the defense because their streaker
That's a good
wide
analogy.
receiver can just run right by your defensive player. I'm
But
hoping that it's not full like this is going to be Mechanic the rest of the season. That this guy, this Paintsill guy, is just a freak speed, and no matter who we put on him, he was going to get burned. But I'm thinking Leuven would keep up with him because Leuven's bigger and he's probably faster. But like that poor kid, it's like every time it played out, like, well, sorry, Mark Henry's like 8 feet behind him eating a cheeseburger essentially at this point. Like no matter what he does, he was going to get smoked. He was going to get
do you know
smoked
what
every
I
time.
was most upset about though? Is when he did get beat. So look at the second half of the game. If you go back and watch this, once he got beat, he just slowed down. He just kind of
Yeah,
gave up, right? He didn't have that extra push because I remember, I don't remember if this was a goal or what, but yeah, I think it was a goal. Merconic could have possibly caught up and at least caused some interference in more of the center of the box. Like, had he gotten there, yeah, he would have gotten there late. But what if there was some kind of deflection after a shot or something?
probably like Ricky Bobby wondering if those were the other cars like flying by him. Like, was that a person? What was that? Like, he was probably in awe. I would be too if I was out there being outclassed by that amount. And he's a professional. I know that wasn't what he was doing, but like, as what that would seem like he just didn't know what just hit him. Like it was like Mike Tyson. You didn't know what just happened.
Yeah, you know what's actually surprising on a side note is Dewar's name. So it's like Dohr. Now, what did you think of him? Like when he came in, I think it was around the 60th minute.
Yeah, I felt that he made like I'm sure we'll get to like all those subs made a huge impact, but like I think Paintsill probably realized there was someone that he wasn't going to be able to outpace quite that badly at that point, and it really did kind of slow him down a little bit. So I just think having a fresh set of legs, strong legs out there, probably made a difference. As someone that was caught up in the game, the fact that once Dyer came in, like you don't think about it too much. To me, that was the impact. Like I kept saying Marcanic thing because you just saw what was happening every time, and it's like Dyer's
Right.
kind of just doing his job. It kind of eliminated him for a little bit there, except for the 98th minute that shouldn't have happened anyway. But
Now, it, I think one of the hot topics in the past couple of weeks have been Klaus and him not scoring any goals. He actually had three chances this game. He actually
yeah,
had three chances. One of them was the one that hit the outside of the net, if you recall, which
oh, I recall.
was a tough shot because it was, at really a cute angle there. So that was going to be tough. And then there was one I think was fed by Az from the top of the box into Klaus, and then there's one where the goalie made a pretty standard save, but still a save nonetheless. At some point, one of these goals are going to go in, and he's going to
Right.
get his first goal of the season. But I mean, how did you feel about how he performed versus Sam and Pompeo, since he's been kind of the golden child in the past few games?
I think I think you're right on. I think he's from what I've seen people say online and what I've heard some other people say is like he seems to be not in the right spot. He seems to be putting himself too wide out for some of these shots and it seems like it's a placement like the shots are there. The shots are looking good. They're just not going yet. And at some point he's going to start, you don't want to say the word getting that Y word. You don't want to get those in sports and I hope he just sticks with it because you can tell those shots are going to come, and eventually one's going to land, and then Santa Claus is going to be in town, and it's going to be amazing. I almost felt like Celio was. almost a non-factor last night. Like you could see him coming in, he had some
100%.
good moments, but like they just he CeeLo wasn't a big component of the game. I felt, he was, they did their things. We got 3 goals, but it just seemed like they found a way to isolate him, and he wasn't very effective for me. That's what I saw.
Yeah, with Klaus, like one thing I would say is when you watch the next game, one thing that he does really well at is when the ball's in the air and it's not comfortable to handle, he settles the ball very well,
That's true.
which is why I love him being in the box because you get that cross or the ball bouncing around, he can settle it quickly and very well, which gives you a potential for a good shot on goal. I do
Yeah.
wish, like what you said, I wish he was playing more center. I wish he was playing more forward instead of like this false nine or off towards the wings or something. Like he's wasting his talents there. Now the question is this him or is this the game design? Like, is this Cardinal telling him to do this? Like, this is something I've been wondering for the past few games here. Is why is this?
Almost like a pitcher trying out new things during the preseason, where it's like we're trying some new things out. Well, I hope they figure it out quick. I hope that they get it lined out. I mean, it's only been 4 games. We haven't lost a game yet. So, but yeah, like I think the announcers were saying like he is still such a destructive force when he's getting into that box because he just comes clomping in there, and you have to recognize that he's there and he is settling the ball down and he is getting there. It just seems like one of those shots that AZ took last night. He got a perfect shot and he shot it wide, where it's just Klaus is just trying to push himself there. And I think he probably may have put too much on himself last night, knowing that the other players are out and it was him. And yeah, I think he's probably got in his own head. But almost like Berkey got in all the Galaxy had last night. Well, maybe not so much Berkey as the frame. I think I think those guys were terrified that he was now 12 feet long and 10 feet tall, where it's like they could not, no matter what they did, like those double shots where it, oh man, that sequence, I can see it in my head. I'll see it in my head the rest of the season. They shot it, it came right back. They shot it again, hit again, and then he knocked it out. It was just heart wrenching, like to see like how quickly those goals were coming, and they couldn't get them in, and that was hilarious.
Oh man, that's what I said on the Reddit thread. I was like, okay, definitely the MVP here is the frame because, I mean, that alone got us a point, right? Because it would have been
Oh
4-3 otherwise, right?
yeah,
Oh man, but man, Berkey, man, this guy is a stud. Holy crap!
right.
I can't even imagine between this season and last season where we would be without him.
Well, there's a little team in Austin, Texas, that would probably give us a good example as to where we might be without a solid goalie. Like they're just, it's. I wonder what his goal save percentage is compared to like last year. Like, there was a metric where the goalie, depending on how many points how many goals they would have given up based on his skills. Berkey was number one. It was like plus 11 or 13 or something last year, and I'm sure that's even higher this year now. And then like, he was so solid that last night on the announcers were saying that if it would have stayed 3-2, without a doubt, he would have been the player of the match, because man of the match, because he was standing on his head. He made those amazing shots, amazing saves last night. It's like, yeah, we would have been down 5-2 if he wasn't making the amount of saves he was. Now I think that last goal, he may not have, like that last goal at the very end. It seemed like he went right through the line. He probably couldn't see the ball coming, but like, man, it's amazing that Lutz was able to use the GAM the way he did to make him basically the third DP and save that DP slot. And he's just the absolute best goalie in the league. I don't give a shit who else you say. He's the best goalie in the league. He has to be. I can't imagine a better one.
Oh, I can't either. And yeah, one thing I got to say also is the ref.
Man,
This was probably the worst game I've seen all season so far. Not that I've seen all the games, but this was horrible. And the reason why I bring this up is because of the set piece that led to the equalizer. And I
Yeah,
think it was what the 90 was it the 94th minute? I think it
yeah,
was.
it was. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not saying that call was necessarily bad, but man, this was a really poorly officiated game. I felt
well,
like yellow cards were given out like candy. I
yeah,
don't know if this was a situation because I think he was a college ref, is what I read
right.
before
Timmerman
the
posted
game.
that he was a college rep before.
College ref, yeah.
Yeah,
So I kind of wonder, was this his way of trying to take control of the game and kind of exert his influence, so to
right.
speak?
Well, he was killing the pace. Like he would wait until the almost the play was over a lot of times to make any foul calls or any yellow card calls, and it was disturbing on both sides. But for sure, on the city side, it was very evident that just didn't know what the hell he was doing. And like it wasn't even like just this game. I think this week as a whole is going to be able to push the what's the acronym for the official, the PSRA, to really hopefully force them to make MLS acknowledge that these backup refs ain't it. I saw so many games towards the end, the players were frustrated heading towards those officials and voicing their frustration because they're just not ready for this. Like first couple weeks,
Was
it
that
looked like these guys were able to step up, and it's like, oh, who needs those pro clowns? And it's like, well, clearly this ain't it. Like they're just they're just doing a poor job. They're just doing a poor job is what it amounts to, and it may have cost us 2 extra points this week because there were some calls that led up to before that free kick that if they would have been called appropriately, that free kick never would have happened. That play never would have happened. But because they didn't call the game appropriately, Painzosa would have run down. And we're really lucky that they called the foul right outside the box like they did, because that would have been a penalty kick for sure. The way that he went down, the way they called the foul, it would have been a yellow, and it would have been almost a guaranteed uh, kick anyway. But yeah, that was
yeah?
bad.
Well,
But
speaking
that's
of ref and yeah,
yeah. You go right ahead, bud.
speaking yeah, speaking of the ref and cards, how did you feel about the red card? Obviously, a lot of fans are clamoring, saying, "Well, that was completely unnecessary. That foul shouldn't have happened." I actually think it was a good tactical decision. I just
Yeah.
think he came in a little harder than necessary. Like I understand it. Like if I was playing, which I'm obviously not, if I was, I would have done the exact same thing. It was the end of the game. Who cares if you got a red card? I when I was watching it back, I felt like he came in a little harder than he probably needed to. I mean, what did
Right.
you see?
I initially, because it happens to your team, it looked like he was trying to split Sam in half. Like it looked like it should have been initially you're like, well, that should be like 3-4 game penalty. But as I read more and as I looked at other people's opinions and I stepped away from the game as a fan a little bit. You're like, I would want my player to do that same thing, because Sam was breaking away. You could see him charging towards the goal. You know what was going to happen. And as a defender, your job is to stop that. I think there was a St. Louis player earlier in the game that got a yellow because of a hard tackle that stopped a charge, and that's what you're supposed to take those good yellows, which is what that was, and that was an immediate red, because I read that because he was the last defender, you do that's an automatic red. Yes, it was a little hard, but Sam got up, and he got up for that free kick, so it's not like it broke a rib. It's not like he was unable to play. It was just a
Well,
hard guarantee foul. Sam's also a giant. So
that we know of.
right.
Like, I mean, it was
So
near the end of the game. Maybe he suffered through it. Maybe he had some pain.
right.
I
Adrenaline's a hell of a drug. You're right.
exactly. The whole thing is I think it was a good tactical move. It just the
Oh yeah.
question is was it harder than necessary? And I don't know. And unfortunately, when I went to look at the replays, they only included one view on it,
Yeah.
so I didn't get a good view like you saw on TV. But I I don't know. I think that's going to be one of those that we're going to have to see. My gut tells me that nothing's going to happen. That this is
No.
just a single game suspension, which is pretty big
And
deal. I mean, it's still a
yeah.
whole game.
Yeah. And but so I saw some fans saying, well, that should be a 3 to 5 game penalty. And even today, and it's like, well, so if they change the rules, it could happen to us. And do you want
Mm,
every call towards the end of the game like that, or anything? Do you want to have one of your strong center backs or the defenders gone for 3 to 5
no.
games because they were doing a game foul? And you know, I've been watching a little bit of like Premier League and the European League soccer, and hell, some things I've seen on European League soccer like that wouldn't even been called like it was just would have just been a foul. Like these guys maul each other, and if we want to step up to like be acknowledged as being like a major league, then we need to be okay with some more physical play. Yeah, that right now should have been a red card and be done with it. He's going to miss a game. Great. As long as Sam's okay, okay. It was a dirty play. We got to play him again. We'll remember this. This guy will get booed every single time he touches a ball when they come here, and that's befitting, and it'll
I
drive him
can't wait.
nuts. And that's how we get bad guys, and that's okay. It's okay. Like it's fine as long as he's not seriously hurt. And he got up. Hell, who took the cleat to the face and got the
Oh,
badass
that was
red rep?
Tottenham. That was
Yeah,
Tottenham,
Talman.
right?
Had the cleat to the
Yeah.
face. Got a badass red bandage on him, which by the way looked really dope. He wore it for the rest of the game, and he was fine. Like, yeah, Sam got kneed, but he's also a Clydesdale, and I think he'll be fine. To me, I
Now,
think I'm with you. It was a dirty play within the bounds of the game. If it was a football player or a
that's
St.
fair.
Louis Cardinals shortstop, you'd be like, he dug out a hard play. It just happened against us.
So, the goal of the week has got to be the bicycle kick.
That
Now, I
was
don't know if you saw the Windy City end of the game. I think it was in the 98th minute for the
oh
game
yeah,
winner for Chicago from like half, like what would you call it? Not half court, but half pitch or
half
whatever.
pitch. Yeah,
Yeah. Like, holy moly. Like, that's amazing. Now,
yeah.
part of that, though, is how much of that is skill versus the wind carrying the
Uh,
ball.
yeah, to me, he was clearing it in. He was clearing it in, and Lake Michigan is like, I got you, fam.
But man, as the announcer said, a center back, like doing a bicycle kick like that. And not only was it a bicycle kick, but it was actually beautiful. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, that's when you search up bicycle kick right now. I did it on Google earlier. That's the one. That's one of the first images that comes up now. That's how good it was. Like it was a gift from some cartoon, and then Nilsson doing that. Like that was amazing. And that whole play was set up beautifully. I think it was headed off with someone else. It might have even been Sam, and
It was Sam because
that
this
was
was
Sam.
right when the subs came
Yeah,
in. Like this
yeah,
was another great lucky substitution. It was on that corner kick on the near side. It was sent to the far post, headed by Sam, and Nilsson did that beautiful kick right into the back of the net.
right into the back of the net. And then that
Whew.
that McCarthy was such a whiny little baby all night. As soon as that goal went in, he was acting like he got beaten up. It's like every time someone came near him, he almost like pulled the LeBron James back in early 2000s where he
Mm.
would just pratfall every single time. And just watching his face was just it
And
was just like his line just
I
gave
think
up.
it was Hebert. I'm pretty sure it was Hebert who was like right in front of the goalkeeper,
Yeah.
which not only was it Sam that made that header, but it was also Hebert who kind of blocked out the goalie, which he was whining about, which was totally legal.
Yeah.
Man, such a great thing. So, any final words before we head off?
We're playing those bums from DC in St. Louis next week, and I
Mm.
can't wait for that game because they've got one player, and he's not going to score 3 goals every time, and they were tied with Miami, and then Miami just without Messi, Miami put 2 on them in the second half to just really just wrench that in there. So now they get to come to the gateway to hell next week, and I can't wait. I can't wait for this match. And I think I from talking with you, like having the fact that these are once a week events, you have the entire week to kind of gear up to it. You know what's going to happen. Saturday is game day. sometimes Sunday, sometimes Wednesday, and we know what's going to happen. We build up to it. It's like the work week is doable. I'm a teacher. Sometimes it feels like the work week is 37 weeks long, but it's like I know Friday when I clock out, Saturday is game day, and it's time. Wake up, it's game day. It's going to be amazing. And right now, we dropped down to 5th this week due to that tie. But you know who we're one spot ahead of? Those bums from Kansas. We're one spot ahead of those bums from Kansas, and that is okay. That is okay.
Draws are awesome because they're points on the board, right? Just wait until we get some of these home games on our schedule popping up here in the future, and we start getting threes added on. I bet you we're going to jump up pretty quick.
Yeah, and the fact that we're not giving up these away games, that's a big thing. And winning away games in the MLS is very hard to do, and we're not walking out of there with 0 points. We went to LA, who were on top of the world, thinking that they were going to run the table this year.
5-0 apparently.
Right, and we hung 3 on them. They scored within the first 2 minutes of the game, and walked out of there with a tie. Now, sometimes a tie feels like a loss. To me, it doesn't feel like a loss. I felt like once we got the 8 damn minutes added on, you knew the wall was going to break. We're walking out of there with a draw, most likely. And as soon as Painstill was fouled, I was like, okay, that's probably it. And it was, but you don't feel like the world was gone.
And Stroud is with DC now, right?
Yeah.
If I recall, because he just
he scored a goal
this past match day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be actually kind of fun seeing him. Hopefully he doesn't have that extra spark that players typically do against their former teams.
Right. I don't know, man. He looked pretty decent with that goal, but like he was making those Jared Stroud decisions where it was like a squirrel in the cage up there. So let him get keyed up because he was shooting off these wild ass shots all over the place. It was wild watching Scary Terry out there. It's like, okay, yeah, enjoy your new home, bud. But that's all I got, man. I am so excited to get this coming up week going.
We'll see you next week.
All right, go City, all for City, baby.